please do come in, take your seats, and be welcome. Thank you, everyone. Please do make yourselves comfortable and sit down as we begin what will be a very packed morning and very packed day, so we want to be sure we keep as close to time as possible. Thank you all for joining us on this lovely morning, on a holiday morning, and happy Constitution Day to our colleagues in Spain. It is a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of CLGI and CSDL this morning. I'm Professor Alexandra Harrington. I am the Research Director of CSDL and Lead Counsel at CSDL and also at CLGI. And it is a true pleasure to welcome you to what will doubtless be a day of true learning and knowledge exchange and hopefully a better dialogue building for not only today, but also for the future. And we're particularly excited to see so many of our returning friends, as well as so many students in the audience. So we do hope there is something enriching for everyone. At this point, I would like to just highlight one or two things on the program, if you do have those ahead in front of you. The first point is that we will be going through very quickly into our next two sessions on the program before moving on to a short networking break, during which we ask that you progress as quickly as possible to the rooms around you where we will be having our different events. And you will then see a chronology leading through to our lunch, during which we'll have several lunches and other events. And then we will be moving directly into our afternoon activities. So please do feel free to come and go as the day allows. And on that note, I would like to turn over the podium to our hosts at UAM and to Professor Rosa Fernandez, who would like to welcome you on their behalf.
Thank you. Bueno, buenos días a todos y a todas. A mí me corresponde daros la bienvenida en nombre de la Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, de la Facultad de Derecho. Estamos encantados de ver que se ha desarrollado, que hemos podido desarrollar este acto en tan poco tiempo y además de la gran afluencia de participantes, y muchas gracias a todos aquellos que habéis tomado el tiempo de venir hoy de forma tan temprana y además en un día festivo aquí en España. Esperemos que disfrutéis de todas las sesiones, que son muchas. Es un programa muy intenso, pero estamos seguros que os va a ser muy enriquecedor. Estamos verdaderamente muy contentos de haberlo conseguido en tan poco tiempo, y también quería darles las gracias a los organizadores de haber confiado en esta facultad para el desarrollo de este acto. Sin más, simplemente disfrutad y que tengáis una buena jornada. Muchas gracias. Perdón, voy a presentar al catedrático de Derecho Internacional Público, Carlos Espósito, que ahora os va a dirigir algunas palabras. Los que seáis estudiantes de aquí de la UAM pues ya lo conoceréis. Hasta luego.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to Madrid. Welcome to the Faculty of Law of the University Autónoma of Madrid. We are delighted and happy to have you here today. And we are honored and humbled to host this Climate Law and Governance Day 2019. I would just give the word to the important people here on my left side. And I will start with the Dean of our Faculty of Law, Professor Juan Damián. Juan, you have the word.
Morning. Gracias, querido Carlos. Gracias, querida Marie Claire. Gracias a todos. Quisiera que mis primeras palabras fueran para expresar nuestra solidaridad y afecto a los compañeros de la Universidad de Chile, que lamentablemente no han podido o no han tenido la oportunidad de organizar este evento en su país como era su deseo. En segundo lugar, quisiera, en nombre de la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, daros la bienvenida y expresar la alegría que sentimos porque hoy estéis aquí. Hoy es un día grande y es un día muy especial para España. Celebramos el aniversario de la aprobación de nuestra Constitución. Por eso es un día de fiesta. También es un día grande y muy especial por lo que supone haber tenido la oportunidad de que esta cumbre tenga lugar en Madrid, porque nos sitúa en el epicentro del debate sobre la lucha contra el cambio climático y los nocivos efectos que produce. Por eso también es un día grande y muy especial para la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. En este sentido, me gustaría manifestar nuestro más sincero agradecimiento a los representantes de la Climate Law and Governance Initiative y a las entidades que lo patrocinan por el honor que nos hacen al habernos elegido para acoger este certamen de tanta trascendencia para la humanidad. Hemos hecho, como ha dicho mi compañera Rosa, todo lo posible porque os sintáis como en vuestra propia casa, y lo hemos hecho en un tiempo récord. Quiero dar las gracias a nuestros compañeros, Carlos, Rosa, por la valentía de haber dado un paso al frente y asumir el compromiso de encargarse de la organización de este evento, y desde luego al personal de Administración y Servicios, que generosamente se han desplazado para atenderos, y por supuesto a los estudiantes que voluntariamente hoy nos acompañan. Muchísimas gracias a todos vosotros. La lucha contra el cambio climático y el calentamiento global no es una moda pasajera que se nos haya ocurrido a unos cuantos, ni una tendencia de pensamiento ideada por intelectuales de vanguardia, sino lisa y llanamente responde a una respuesta cívica de unos ciudadanos aterrados de lo que están haciendo con nuestro planeta. Quien conozca bien aquel famoso relato de Antoine de Saint-Exupéry recordará el temor del Principito por los efectos de las semillas de los baobás, cuyas raíces amenazaban con destruir su querido planeta, el asteroide B612. La solución que proponía era sencilla, pero efectiva: emplearse a fondo cada mañana. Es una cuestión de disciplina, decía. Cuando uno termina de arreglarse por la mañana, tiene que también empezar a limpiar cuidadosamente su planeta. Hay que arrancar con regularidad esos pequeños arbustos donde crecen ya los baobás, cuidando de distinguirlos bien de los rosales. Porque los rosales son buenos, hermosos, mientras los baobás son peligrosos. Es un trabajo muy fastidioso, pero fácil. Para defender nuestros derechos y los derechos de las generaciones venideras, resulta imprescindible y urgente llevar a cabo un trabajo constante, hacerlo con decisión, lo cual no quiere decir con excentricidades, sino con seriedad, pero firmes en nuestro compromiso, sabedores de que el esfuerzo tiene que ser colectivo. De nada sirve que una parte del mundo adopte medidas si la otra no lo hace. Y los profesionales del derecho sabemos que en esta lucha contra el cambio climático no hay tregua que valga. Los juristas tenemos mucho que decir y mucho que aportar, conscientes de que tan responsables son los que niegan su existencia como los que, sabiéndolo, no hacen nada por evitarlo. El derecho es una pieza clave para articular medidas de adaptación como de mitigación que nos lleven hacia la transición energética. La Constitución que hoy honramos en España Fue muy cuidadosa al reconocer el derecho a disfrutar de un medio ambiente adecuado para el desarrollo de las personas, así como el deber de conservarlo, atribuyendo a los poderes públicos la obligación de velar por la utilización racional de todos los recursos naturales. El derecho debe convertirse en una armadura frente a los ataques a nuestra integridad en materia de salud pública y medio ambiente. Las universidades, y eso lo estábamos antes comentando con Marie Claire, tenemos una gran oportunidad para seguir siendo protagonistas, para defender nuestros derechos y los derechos de las generaciones que nos están por venir. Debemos llevar a cabo un trabajo orientando nuestra actividad docente e investigadora en esa dirección. Es lo que la sociedad a la que nos debemos espera de nosotros y lo que da la razón de ser de nuestra actividad como profesores. Permitidme que termine poniendo al servicio de esta noble causa aquel mítico cántico de las criaturas o cántico del hermano Sol de San Francisco de Asís, invocando al hermano Sol que nos da el día y nos ilumina, a la hermana Luna y las estrellas, al hermano Viento por el aire y la nube y el cielo sereno que nos proporciona, a la hermana Agua, al hermano Fuego que nos ilumina en la noche y desde luego a nuestra querida hermana, nuestra Madre Tierra, la cual nos sostiene y gobierna. Así pues, y con esta invocación a San Francisco de Asís, vuelvo al cuento del Principito, que nos recuerda que como en todos los planetas, aunque haya hierbas buenas y malas, sus semillas son invisibles, duermen en el secreto de la tierra, y si se trata de una hierba mala, debe arrancarse inmediatamente. En eso no podemos fallar. Así que os emplazo a todos y a todas a que todas las mañanas, nada más levantaros, nos pongamos a limpiar el planeta. No es más, como dice el Principito, que una cuestión de disciplina. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much to our Dean, who has reminded us that this event has been possible only because so many people has helped a lot to put all these things together for us today, especially Rosa and the people from the Alexandra and Alejandra and Emily and all the students, especially I'm really, really grateful to the students and our sponsors. And it's been two weeks, I would say 2 busy weeks, isn't it? Another thing that I want to stress from the Dean's words is that today we are in a really important date in Spain. It's the 41st anniversary of our Constitution, and it's great that this event coincides with such an important day for us. I will now give the floor to, the soul of this whole event. Marie Claire, please, welcome, and you have the floor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and special thank you to our colleagues from the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, and also our colleagues from the Universidad de Chile. The former dean of the faculty will arrive around noon, and she will be here for the closing with us. She's also leading light in the Center for Environmental Law, Centro de Derecho Ambiental, in the University of Chile. I know we have other colleagues here, including Miguel Saldivia from the University of Chile, who are also now University of Cambridge colleagues. And I would like to thank both of our partners on behalf of the University of Cambridge, on behalf of McGill as the hosts in 2005 of the first Climate Law and Governance Day, and especially on behalf of the entire consortium of law and governance institutions internationally who have come together to make this possible. You have been incredible in terms of stepping forward, taking up the mantle, somehow managing with essentially 2.5 weeks to pull this together, and it will be one of the most successful Climate Law and Governance Days we have seen. You have already passed the registration threshold for all Climate Law and Governance Days except Paris itself. and we'll see, you're going to give Paris a run for their money. So we really deeply appreciate the warmth and the hospitality that the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid has shown, the professors, the dean, and also especially the student associations who have worked so hard to bring this together. I'm sure we will have a very successful day. And as you know, here in this initiative, we bring together public international lawyers, private international lawyers, the general counsels of multilateral development banks and of international climate funds and of international organizations, as well as international law associations and bar associations, and the professors and deans of faculties of law who are committed to trying our very best to ensure that, as one small piece of the puzzle, law and governance community makes our contribution to addressing this existential threat that is climate change. We are in a very important moment in history. Many of us, when we start our studies, we do it with some ideals. We want to contribute to making a difference in our world. This is the justice challenge of our century. We must turn everything we have toward stopping climate change. I was in the meetings of the Climate Change Conference of the Parties yesterday, and our chairs were briefing us on progress to date. As everyone knows, we are not yet on track after 20, 30 years of working together as an international community to limit global warming to safe levels. We are already losing important communities. We are already costing other species who had no choice in this matter their entire existence. This is the most serious thing that any student, any professor, any practicing lawyer could ever do to make a difference. So we are not sure that we have what it takes yet to face this challenge. We need more colleagues, we need more institutions, we need entire countries and regions of the world to change what they're doing in a fundamental way. We actually have to restructure the economy of our world in order to address this problem. It is something that is worth committing to. And I'm very, very humble but proud to be able to stand beside all of you, all of our colleagues in the COP, our collaborators worldwide who are joining us online at different moments during these 2 weeks, and even the leaders in the local communities, the young people in the streets, the judges in their courtrooms, the lawyers in their dispute settlement processes and in their regulation drafting, the council and justice ministers who are rewriting many constitutions today on the Day of Constitution to include climate change. You are involved in something that is much bigger than you, and that is something to be proud of. I'm very, very honored to open this 14th Climate Law and Governance Day, to see our movement growing, to see the potential that still exists to play our part as a law and governance community in finding the solution in time. Our themes for today were carefully chosen in consultation with chief negotiators and others who are working in this area. We will be addressing 3 key issues where solutions are needed. And many of you who will be hosting sessions, speaking, bringing your piece of the puzzle to the table, sharing your parts of the solutions, ideally inspiring each other and building new partnerships to move forward after today. We'll be meeting around these 3 issues. The first is advancing Paris Agreement innovations. Especially for the international lawyers, we will be talking about the new mechanisms and the crown jewel, the compliance process, as well as the transparency, Warsaw International Mechanism on Loss and Damage, markets and non-market instruments in Article 6, and other aspects of the Paris Agreement that are still very young, embryonic, under the process of elaboration, that need our support so that they can take their first faltering steps forward and become part of the firmament, part of the constellation of stars that our Dean referred to in his opening speech for the structure of international law today. Our second and just as important theme is on how to scale up national and regional climate legal frameworks for action, how to make our national and local level climate governance more effective with ecosystem-based and human rights responses, how to address crucial challenges of human mobility and climate justice, what is happening with climate litigation around the world, lawyers leading the charge, and how are we ensuring public participation and engagement of non-party stakeholders at the local level. We have several sessions on this theme as well, and we have much that is happening worldwide in this area. We need more, but the first seeds are here. The third theme will be on local and global interlinkages and engagement, particularly how other areas of law and other areas of international law related to oceans, biodiversity, our ozone layer, civil aviation, trade, investment, peace and conflict, can respond to the challenge of climate change and assist with finding solutions in time. It's going to be a packed day, and this day has been put together, as you know, not just by the tiny secretariat sitting in the University of Cambridge and the past hosts, and I want to especially recognize our hosts from last year, from the University of Silesia in Katowice, who are here with us and have brought a very rich set of ideas and changes that they have done in their country, as well as a special surprise that will be launched at lunchtime that I just saw for the first time this morning. We have on our program committee also leading private international lawyers who are practicing and leading the arbitration, and leading public international lawyers who not only have served as negotiators and chairs of negotiations, but also lead international organizations such as the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and its World Commission for Environmental Law. So we would like to give them an opportunity to just say a few words to help to guide us on our journey today and to encourage us to continue this vitally important work. I would like to call up Professor Christina Voigt from the World Commission for Environmental Law and many other affiliations. Christina, please.
Thank you very much, Marie-Claire, for your very kind words. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure, it's a great privilege to be here, and I would like to extend my thanks to the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. It is, I think, as you said, Marie-Claire, climate change is the biggest challenge of our time. There is no doubt about it. Science is conclusive. We get more and more evidence every single day. And in addressing this challenge, law is the key. Scientific evidence is there, technological solutions are there, but everything has to be regulated, and law is the key. And I think that aspect is something that is only slowly developing, and it is something that this room has to work on and put forward inside our respective institutions, outside our respective institutions, in our teaching, in our education, in our everyday life. It is a great pleasure for me to be here as the chair of the Climate Change Specialist Group of the World Commission on Environmental Law, who has worked together with the Climate Law and Governance Initiative for many years, and I hope for many, many years to come in working in this constructive cooperation on that very important aspect of our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much as well. Now, as you know, this is a COP, and one of the wonderful and slightly difficult aspects of a COP is that you have many incredible people who you would never, even if you booked them 10 years in advance, be able to have them in the room just for one event. They're here anyway, and they're kind enough to come and spend a part of their day with us. The downside of that is that because they are so special, they are also required to be with the head of state of their country, briefing their minister, writing the provisions on loss and damage, reviewing them for international mechanism, drafting the compliance committee, and we end up with a changes in our schedule that we provide for by ensuring that we have speakers and discussants named for every panel. No, I never organize an event with 10 speakers in an hour, but I know very well that 5 of them will be called away, and so in Climate Law and Governance Day, we allow it. Speaking of being called away, and speaking of extremely kind and honorable and generous people who are willing to speak for the leading international lawyers of our time in the private sector, we are very, very fortunate that although Ilona Miller from Baker McKenzie cannot be here, we actually have Dr. Wendy Miles, who is also a arbitrator and vice president of the arbitration group of the International Chamber of Commerce from Debevoise and Plimpton, to say a few words of welcome from the program committee.
Thank you, Marie-Claire, and thank you, everybody, especially for turning up on what I understand is a public holiday. Well done. So this is a self-selective group. You're people who are interested in public international law and climate change law and governance. But some of you, many of you, and certainly many of your colleagues and friends will also go into private practice, which is what I do. And in terms of mobilizing ambition for climate transition, it's private practice, it's the private sector, it's the private investment community that will make this succeed or not. So as private practice lawyers, don't feel that that's a decision to sell your soul. The law is systemic. We need to make changes all the way through the legal system in how we enter into public international law instruments, so the treaties, the UNFCCC, the Paris Agreement, how they're legislated for, as Christina said, at the national domestic level. So what the constitutions look like, but also what the regulations enforcing carbon pricing and things look like. But then how we practice law and how the deals are done, how this money moves, how the investments are made, how the solar plants are built, how the carbon capture and sequestration plants are built. All of this happens through commercial agreements, commercial law and commercial contracts. They need to be drafted, they need to have the right terms, they need to be enforced, and they need to be implemented. And every single lawyer in the world, not just those who self-select into climate change law at a public international law level, every single lawyer should have climate ambition, and climate policy embedded in the way they practice law. And then we might stand a chance. So welcome and congratulations on being here.
Wendy is completely right. And it is strange, isn't it? In another generation, another time, it would have been inconceivable that this panel would have women on it. Every single lawyer, I hope, today wouldn't even ask whether human rights, half of humanity being included, was important. We need to put climate change into that level of hardwired into our system to be able to actually make the change that is needed. That's a really good point, Wendy. Thank you. And thank you for your service on the program committee this year in all aspects, judging international essay competitions, guiding our choices of which sessions could be included this year, helping us to reach out to your colleagues, the bar, the many actors of the world that we need help with over the last while. Both you and Christina have really been very inspiring for us and wonderful colleagues to work with. I now have the great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. She has been with us since her bank stepped forward. Two of the leading lights from her bank are here, who were part of the laying of the foundations of this collaboration when we came together in Paris and we inaugurated the new series of Climate Law and Governance Days that has continued to this date. Marianne Birkin has shown leadership in one of the most important ways possible, not just moving herself and her friends, but moving entire institutions, and dare I say, networks of institutions. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has made some astonishing strides in this area. I will not steal her thunder by mentioning them, but instead simply say that we have been honored to have you as part of our program committee. We have been deeply grateful for your contributions to making this day a success every year, and we are extremely pleased, especially since Hafida was called away, Sandy was called away, that we could actually count on you to deliver our keynote speech as General Counsel of EBRD today. Please, Marianne.
I need my glasses for this. Good morning, buenos dias, everyone. It really is once again my great pleasure to participate in this International Legal Forum advancing the climate and governance agenda. And I must say, this is my 5th year, and it is the highlight of the year. I really, every year, look forward to this event. And I congratulate the organizers once again for bringing together such an impressive group of experts who have all gathered with the same passion and for the same reason to advance a coordinated, effective, and coherent legal response to climate change. I'd like to thank the organizers, Marie-Claire, of course, our host, Professor Moreno, Professor Pilar Moraga, and Ms. Hafida, and their credible teams for their relentless work in putting together this conference. I mean, to say this has been a busy 2 weeks must be an absolute understatement. It is incredible that this was all put together in such a short period of time. At the EBRD, the environmental dimension is at the core of everything we do. It is reflected in our founding treaty. It is an essential part of our transition mandate. It is embedded in each of our sector and country strategies. It is integrated in the projects we finance. Projects should be socially and environmentally sustainable and respect the rights of local communities. That is the case for each of the projects that we involved in. And it should be the case for all projects that are done, that are financed by any lender. In Katowice last year, the EBRD and the other multilateral development banks signed a joint declaration to align their activities with the goals of the Paris Agreement, supporting a pathway towards low greenhouse gas emissions and climate resilient development. And then at the United Nations Climate Summit in New York City in September this year, the MDBs unveiled key actions to help their clients mitigate and adapt to climate change. These include scaling up climate finance, mobilizing private sector investment, transparent reporting, and fostering a climate policy agenda. So how does the EBRD deliver on these commitments? We have adopted a green finance target of 40% of our annual investments by 2020. And in fact, this year, we already exceed that target. In addition to investing in climate mitigation and adaptation, our policy reform efforts support our client countries with the implementation of their NDCs. So we support the agenda from 2 perspectives. We are a bank, and we make investments, and that's a core activity. But we are a development institution, and through our policy work, we help to create conditions on the ground that improve the investment climate to ensure that countries can attract and absorb financial flows. And as the lawyers at EBRD, we play a key role in this policy agenda. And I would like to highlight 2 initiatives that demonstrate what we do. We work with national authorities to introduce modern legal and regulatory practices in the energy sector. This includes review and drafting of energy sector legislation, building institutional capacity of regulators, and opening up transparent and competitive markets for renewable energy. As we just heard, this needs to be regulated. This is an area that is regulated in order to help us move forward. So we support policymakers, parliamentarians, and lawyers to develop frameworks which ensure that gradual liberalization and decarbonization of the energy market will take place. There's a lot of national authorities we support in the region that we operate, including, to name a few, Bulgaria, Romania, Tajikistan, and Azerbaijan. The second initiative focuses on the private sector, where we make the majority of our investments. Alongside our investments, we often work with our borrowers and investees to strengthen their governance practices. Businesses have started to report on their impact on the climate, but this is still a new concept, especially in emerging markets. Through our legal reform program, our lawyers are working with our banking colleagues to enhance climate action of our clients through enhanced governance, transparency, and reporting around climate impact. We have a long-standing commitment and deep expertise in developing governance mechanisms that allow companies to assess and mitigate their climate risk exposure while strengthening their resilience in response to the impacts of climate change. In addition to advising individual companies, we help national authorities with providing tools and information. We believe that climate impact reporting will lead to increased access to investment and finance, and that non-engagement will lead to legal, reputational, and financial implications for the laggers behind. It's kind of interesting. We all understand, we all believe that working on climate change is an important thing to do. But somehow for business, they often do it only when there's a benefit, right? So if the benefit is that without doing this, you won't attract finance, then this is the way to go. I would like to invite you to join the session at 3 p.m., just making a pitch for one of the sessions my colleague participates in, that will discuss the link between climate action and investment. My colleague, Vasilina Haralampieva, will discuss our ongoing work with the boards and managements of selected EBRD private sector clients on climate governance, which are involved in a number of countries, including Greece, Poland, and Jordan. I conclude my remarks every year by saying how time is precious and how engagement of national governance, businesses, and civil society is critical for preserving our planet, as we all know and heard. And every year, time is more precious. And although we have come a long way, we have a lot of work to do. As we look at the agenda for today's discussions, the importance of law and governance to help move this agenda is evident. It is really incredible to see how well lawyers are equipped and motivated to move this agenda. Our work on legal and regulatory reform, advocacy and litigation has a tremendous impact on the way in which national authorities implement their commitments under the Paris Agreement. And our advice to companies and financial institutions on transparency and governance will help change the way in which business and investor community supports this climate agenda. I look forward to a day of very stimulating discussion, and I'm confident that with the active participation of all of us gathered here today, we will have once again a productive and successful Climate Law and Governance Day. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for those excellent speeches. We have to deal today then with the challenge of our time, but we have the key, which is the law. And we have all these people today to engage in conversations and work hard to make today a richly productive day, and a day that we wish not to forget, at least until next Glasgow. Okay, so thank you again, everybody. Welcome to Madrid. Welcome to this Faculty of Law. Again, we are proud, we are happy, and we are grateful to be able to host the Climate Law and Governance Day 2019. And so I declare the day inaugurated. Let's work.
To guide us through the day, we have two masters of ceremonies, and they will be reminding you to go to your sessions. They will be introducing the parallel sessions that are taking place. They will be telling you where your lunch will be available, with the launch of some very, very special projects and books and reviews from the previous days and from the work that is being done around the world in between. We will come back together in plenary just after the famous 3 o'clock session on investment. And we will have some very fascinating and inspiring high-level plenary sessions from 4:40 onward. One that brings together leading climate law practitioners with Wendy's keynote at that time, and also legal expert negotiators with Professor Christina Voigt's keynote at that time, among others who you will meet throughout the day. There will be a second high-level plenary then also with the deans and research chairs and vice rectors and others of leading universities. And then our closing ceremony, which will of course be the moment that everyone is waiting for, because we have 2 sets of awards. Last year, when the students stood up and received their medals, we were whispered to afterward, you know, it wouldn't be bad for some of the international lawyers and practicing lawyers and judges and others to actually also perhaps be recognized for their contributions to climate law and governance. And so we will have 2 sets of awards. One will be for the deans or vice rectors of faculties that are making a difference, together with leading climate law practitioners and leading legal counsel, general counsel of an international organization. The candidates have been shortlisted. None of them have been informed of the final choice of the program committee, but I will say that the leaders who have been chosen for the awards were nominated not once, but by 5, 6, 7 people. Their names came forward again and again from around the world. So I'm very much looking forward to the Global Climate Law and Governance Leadership Awards at the end of today. And I'm especially looking forward to the honorable mentions, bronze, silver, and gold medals for the students who have won the International Climate Law and Governance Essay Competition. And that will be closing our event in the evening with a 10-minute exhibition moot, with some of us, including our own dean, serving as judges of that moot with a hypothetical case, which is always actually one of my favorite parts. The essay competition finalists have put this presentation together for us. They are strict on their time, because we know you'll be tired at the end of the day. So I think we have a very exciting program today. I'm going to hand over to Alexandra and Rosa to tell us where to go for our first sessions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marie-Claire. So I always like to make sure it's on. So you now have about 15 minutes at the most. Please do try to make it a little bit shorter to get up, get a coffee quickly, very quickly, please, and make haste, and then find the appropriate room for the discussion you would like to join. If you love this room and you would particularly like to hear about scaling up for the Paris Agreement, then do please come back here. or if you are not in the mood for coffee, please do stay. If you would like to hear a bit more about exploring the effects of transparency in multi-level climate governance, please go to the Paris Hall. And again, all of the rooms will have signposts, and we also have wonderful volunteers outside. If you would like to join one of our discussions in Spanish in the Katowice Hall, it will be discussing climate change and energy impacts in Spain in particular. We will then move on to our 11:30 to 35, pardon me, to 12:50 set of concurrent panels, of which there are 4. Shall I go into those, Mary Claire, or shall I just? Yes. All right. Excellent. So then the next set, starting at 11:35, back here in the Madrid plenary, will be advancing ambition and compliance on climate change through law and governance, innovations in oceans, and investment law. I will not claim my partisanship to that, although I am on it. In the Paris Hall, we have advances in climate litigation. In Katowice Hall, we have, again, a Spanish session on climate governance, international climate governance, and rights in the entire kind of complex situation that exists. And we have a wonderful panel from our Polish hosts from last year in the Marrakesh Roundtable Room, where we will be looking a year back at the innovations and the outcomes from Katowice in Poland. So these are very unusual and very kind of nuanced discussions that I think will be generating a lot of interest and activity. We also then move into the 12:50, should you be hungry, which you probably will, to 1:45 session for lunch. During lunch, we will be having our lovely, I'm certain, lunch and goodies, as well as the launch of several different forms of publications and initiatives. So please do join us for those as well. And then we will get to our afternoon concurrent sessions, which again will be in the 4 different rooms. So if you are lost at any point, please find a volunteer. There are signs outside. Rosa made a wonderful point about please remembering at all points that you probably do have a coat. If you would like to keep that coat with you, feel free. If you would like to check it, we do have facilities to check in and out throughout the day. So Rosa, would you like to move on?
Bien, no voy a repetir todo lo que ha dicho Alex, que lo ha hecho fenomenal y además todos tienen el programa. Simplemente recordar que se va a desarrollar este evento en 4 sitios distintos de forma paralela. Este es el plenario, pero tenemos también el Paris Hall, el Katowice Hall y el Marrakech Roundtable, que están aquí detrás. Espero que esté todo bien señalizado, que no se pierdan. Recordarles que tenemos muy poco tiempo también para el café, por eso no me voy a extender mucho más, 15 minutos, también para la comida, y a final de la jornada no se vayan porque ahí se va a servir un vino español. Así que disfruten y bienvenidos.